Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first installment of today's Inside Track, hosted by your team here at Broll Auctions and Sales. My name is Keegan Oschger, and I'm very pleased to be with you here today. We'll be taking you through some insights into the property market and the commercial industry at large. We've got Omer Chipamba to my right here. He's in the digital marketing team at Broll Auctions and Sales. To his left, Adil Mohammed, property analyst and up-and-coming broker. And then finally to my right here, Jason Lee Collins with the new title, brand spanking new title of Sales Support Manager and Commercial Broker. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for being with me here today. Looking forward to getting some insights into the industry. Jace, you've been in the property industry for a number of years. What made you choose the property industry? Kind of what got you into this industry in the first place?
You know, this is kind of the first question that anyone ever asks is, what got you into the property space? And if I'm being honest, I still don't know. I kind of just found my way. I've always had family that was interested in the property game. My sister's a master architect. My dad was always investing in properties, things like that. So I don't know what got me into property, but I found my way through it. I think it was just the passion for property, the passion for people, the passion for business. I think that will be the focus, the core that actually drove me into the property industry.
I see. Adil, and yourself?
With me, it was a bit more philosophical, I'd say. It was one way I looked at the world and I said, people always need goods and services. You need to trade something. But one thing that is always needed is space. Whether it may be to produce something, to live somewhere, to work somewhere, to play somewhere. That kind of space dictates a lot how we live our lives. And I felt like if I was in that industry, I'd be able to charter a path for myself and those around me and make better use of that space. So that's what drove me to property.
And I think also your family, they do dabble in the property industry a bit. So I think you've got some experience over the rest of us.
Yeah.
And
that too, yeah. I do have a couple of senior folks in my family who have guided me through this pathway as well. They've come from the accounting side of things. But I thought I'd bring in a new spin of it and give them a property fixed asset type of thing.
Yeah.
So that's that. I do have that. Yeah.
You're going to be in trouble for calling them senior.
Omer, tell us a bit about digital marketing. It's a foreign word to a lot of us.
Yeah.
What do you do on a day-to-day basis, and what is a digital marketer?
Yeah. First of all, digital marketing. Like the world is becoming more digital as we move. And it's something very essential in every company, to be more digital in a lot of things. And for me, what I do day-to-day basis is just being the support mechanism of each and every broker in the company and being able to implement and manage all the digital strategies for the company and bringing taking it to a wider and broader audience out there, because a lot of people now are getting into digital. You'll be surprised, even older people now, it's more digital than it was a few years ago.
Yeah.
And so that's about it. And day-to-day basis, I'm here just to help you guys.
Yeah, Omer's always in the back room working the late hours, and advertising our properties to the best regard.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what makes auctions so exciting, because it's such an accelerated process.
Yeah.
You got a 4-week build-up compared to sometimes a 6-month build-up when it comes to private treaty.
Yeah.
And you're condensing all of that information and that marketing and all those resources into the short frame of time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes auctions really exciting for me.
Yeah.
Jace, what's kind of the standout thing that makes auctions tick for you?
Coming more from the business side of it, for me, it's the non-suspensive clauses and things like that. The problem with your private treaty deals, as we know, you can be roped along for 6 months, maybe 12 months. Last minute before transfer, the deal falls through. Whereas auctions is completely different to that. It's cash transparent. You have your due diligence period prior to auction that you have to build up on. And basically on the day of the auction, whatever comes is the final bid, I mean, it's non-suspensive and there's a time factor. You have to get your due diligence before. So it's beneficial to the seller, they get a quick deal, but it's also beneficial to the buyer because both buyer and seller want quick, transparent deals. Nobody wants lags in your deals. And that's what really stands out for me in auctions.
Yeah, and I think in today's market, cash is such a necessity, and getting that cash quickly, I mean, there's no better route than auction.
No, definitely.
If I had my property, and what would you say for me to give you my property and put it on the auction platform?
Well, building on what Jason is saying, it's the vehicle actually. It's the transparency, it's the non-suspensive clauses, and it's a car that you'd want to put yourself into to get your property over the line. It's something that I think is way more efficient than the private treaty route. And it's the speed of it at which it happens. You're getting oaks all across the board into one room and get them competing against each other, whereas with the private treaties, it's a stretched out process. And I think that maximization of value, efficiency, and the public transparency for the property, it's the best route forward, I think.
Yeah, No, very exciting times. I mean, we've got a jam-packed auction season, as they call it, in the next few months. What kind of exciting properties have you guys got, in the lineup? What kind of feature properties can you tell us in the market about?
Oh well, right now I know we've got the Midtown Mall in Rustenburg, and I think it's a fantastic property. It's doing about 6 million gross a year, and I think properties like that in your outlying CBD areas. They are the nucleus for the people in the area to live and play, like I said, in those spaces. And like this mall in particular, it's quite pedestrianized. It's in the center of town. There's a lot of activity from public transport and so on. And that kind of exposure for investors specifically, I think that's the kind of assets that they'd be looking for. Jason, I don't know.
Yeah, the standout for me is it's actually in the same sector as you. It's the Northcliffe.
Yeah.
The Northcliffe Centre. I mean, Ronald Rod, the broker running on both, he's the expert in the field. And I think he's the right person to run that. I mean, both are very iconic, like you say, iconic to the suburbs, and they have a lot to offer. Northcliffe, okay, you're going to need a little bit more work into it. You're going to have an innovative, out-of-the-box thinking with it, whereas maybe Midtown Mall's a more investment approach based on yield plays and things like that. But both of them have huge upside in terms of providing something better for the community in the near futures.
Yeah, 100%. One of my standouts is the Commissioner Street, Standard Bank Chambers. Yeah. That building is an absolute icon of the Joburg CBD, and really excited to see what we get on auction.
Yeah, just to add on there, that building is beautiful. It was built in, I think, 1913, or something like that. It's over 100 years old. It's never been sold. And personally, I took a walk through it, and wow, my breath was taken away. Like, to find gems like this still, like this bespoke art deco type of architecture.
Yeah.
And to find buildings like that, to think that in South Africa we've built these type of things, it feels like London. So whoever's picking that up, I hope they've got something ingenious and that will preserve the heritage of the building.
Yeah, for sure. I think
sorry, Keith, to interrupt you there. Something with a purchase like that is you're not just buying the property, but you're buying the heritage behind it as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point that you're going there. A lot of these commercial properties, it's just driven by the numbers. But something like this doesn't come around often. Yeah. And when it does come around, you kind of have to get your hands on it. I mean, how often can you buy heritage buildings of that stature?
Yeah.
And like he mentioned about the car, as I would like to think of digital marketing as the petrol. So it's exciting taking these properties, like the properties that you all have mentioned. Like, it's exciting to take it out there in the digital world and for people to actually see it and feel it and be interested. Because with digital marketing, when you're putting things out there, it's for people not just to see but to feel it and to be. When you feel something, you want it, and it's really like a whole structure that. Like, we're all working together towards something, and it's very, very exciting and very important to understand and to work together towards achieving all this greatness.
And that's another, on our last point, that's another reason why auctions is so special. in comparison to a normal private sale, because a normal private sale, you don't get the exposure and marketing campaigns that you do through auction. We've got a whole dedicated team behind the scenes, Omer and Jordan, our senior graphic designer, working hours and hours and hours to get these properties out to the public. And without that, a normal deal just can't compete with something like that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I couldn't agree more. Omer, what kind of vehicle are we getting the most traction from at the moment? What platform are we seeing the results?
The most, like I would like to say, like it's our website, because I feel like we developed a very, very beautiful website, as you all know, and have seen. And I think that's where we're getting most of our traction, and trying to bring a lot more people onto the website. And and that's also the beautiful thing about it, having such a beautiful website that when people get onto it, and it's easy to use, it's easy for people to see, it's easy for people to apply for things that they want to do, it's easy for a seller, and it's easy for a buyer. And so I think most of our traction is coming from our website, which is beautiful. Because there's a lot of other platforms that we currently working with, and those other platforms are also helping us push our products and our properties out there. But the most of it's our website.
Yeah, and I think it's quite a key vehicle for us, not only the website but the other social media aspects. It's day-to-day people that are seeing this. It's not always your big funded investors, that are seeing these properties. And when I think it's quite unique if a son who's in high school comes to his father and says, "Look at this property, Dad," and he's actually the father's can get involved in that decision. So it's a different vehicle, different avenue to get that. A kind of frontage for our properties.
Yeah, just on that, Keegan, I think also where there's opportunity, like Omer is saying, with getting people to feel it, is that in the short video space. So if you look at your TikToks, your Reels, your stories, on your Instagrams and Facebooks and whatever it is, people want that quick, easy digitization of content. They want to get as much information, as much colors, as bright as possible. And like you're saying, that the younger generation seems to be more inclined to that type of thing. So I don't know, maybe you know of any of how can we incorporate that maybe into the property space.
Yeah, and I think we're already doing that, and it's like especially with social media, there's a lot of young people there that use social media. That's a fact. There's so many young people more than old people, older generation. And I think with what we're putting out there, if it's a young person that is not yet into the property business, but it's inspiring for them to get into it. And that's also another thing where we actually motivating young people and bringing young people into this industry, which is a beautiful thing. And I think, like Adil say, all those reels and TikToks, and it's things like young people love, and it's great that we actually bringing, we're building a better future, with these young people, and like they say, young people are the message we send to the future. So I think that's really a good thing that we're doing.
I think that's our next step, is to get a little TikTok page going. You can do little dances as well.
On the contrary of that as well, that's focusing a lot on the younger generation. But a lot of our deals are also done through the senior. Now I'm going to get into the older generation. And I think we accommodate for both. I speak from experience. The older generation love writing. They love seeing things in newspapers. They love the physical boardings. And we cater to that aspect as well. So, the fact that we so vast in our approach to different clients, I think that's also just an exciting aspect of our campaigns.
Yeah, and I think it's a differentiating aspect to when you compare us to other auction houses. We really accommodate both avenues quite well, I think. Adil, you've had some experience, or you've been around the block. We won't mention names, but what do you think? Why Brol? Why Brol Auctions and Sales? What makes us different?
Well, one thing that attracted me to Brol specifically was the dynamism of the team. It was a youthful team. They were open to a lot of new ideas. And I feel like there's a lot of energy in this space. So they're a lot more accepting to new ideas and to new leads, new prospects. And that's what brought me here. I think the auction vehicle as a whole, as we were saying, is where we need to be in terms of pushing properties forward. And then if you are in that vehicle, you've got to pick the best one. And that's why I think Prol is the best auction vehicle at this point.
Yeah, agreed.
And like Jason mentioned about us being both about young people and the older generation, you see like things that like we do, like the multi-mag, the magazine that we always produce every month, and things like mailers, like every week we have mailers going out, like we catering for all generation, I could say, and that's what makes Bro Auction and Sales much better.
Yeah. Omer, maybe you can share some insights into, so we've spoken about the TikTok, the Instagrams, the Reels, you know. What's next? What's after the TikToks, and what's the future of digital marketing?
I feel like right now, like I mentioned earlier, that the world is moving into a more digital space, and a lot more things are going to become digital. So we living in a space where we need to invest into digital marketing more, because in 10 years time, we'll even like have digital drivers and all that. We already have like things like, you know, the
self-driving cars.
Yeah, self-driving cars and all that. So I think there's gonna be more and more digital platforms. Yeah, and digital screen time that people are gonna be like consuming all these products, and we need to actually already, I feel like we as Bro Auction and Sales, we're already preparing ourselves towards that. You know, things like there's going to be more digital platforms, there's going to be more TikToks and more Instagrams. And I feel like we as well as a property group, we need to work towards that, like in terms of like even having our own, like, you know, having apps, things like apps. Like right now we have a very beautiful website, and we're working towards like having more and more other digital platforms of our own that we can be able to like put our products and our properties out there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Just to add on Omer's point, you know, I think it's so hard to say where should we be in, you know, let's say 5 years time on digital marketing. I think digital aspects are always changing. They're always innovative. It's something new. Yeah. I mean, if you compare to where we were 20 years ago, just in terms of a cell phone, it's completely different. Yeah. I think the key is to be, you know, 3 steps ahead. I don't think you can be 1 step ahead, because if you're 1 step ahead, you're still 4 steps behind. So I think the key with the whole digital aspect and the marketing perspective is you have to be innovative, you have to be open, and you have to action it. You know, it's you have to keep up with the times.
Yeah.
No, agreed. I mean, and Jace, keeping on the topic of the future, it's always good to get, you know, us 3 as analysts, we're always into the numbers and getting down into the nitty-gritty of things. Where do you see the property market going? Just a general overview in the next 5 years, maybe just in South Africa?
Yeah, look, I mean, we're definitely going to see an uptick. I think we're already seeing the uptick now. Guys are a lot more active in the market. There's a lot more transactions being concluded. You know, last year, the year before, COVID times, it was unprecedented times. It's very hard times, very uneasy times, backed by the riots. You know, in my opinion, we were at the bottom. I think we're starting to come up from the bottom now. 5 years' time, I think you're going to see even more transactions, even more deals being concluded, even more activity in the market. And I just think there's going to be a huge uptick. I really do.
Yeah, Adil, do you share that sentiment? Or?
I do share that sentiment. I also feel it's backed by what's happening in the macroeconomy. If you're looking at our interest rates, it's remained kind of flat. So that's indicating that they want a lot more activity from the end users in the economy. But with an interest rate increase, I think we'll start to see that slow down. But our volumes will remain. And I feel like there'll be some actual real growth on our property values, which will see returns for investors. So guys who are buying now, I think that's the best time to be purchasing, and they'll capitalize, like Jason's saying, in the next 5 years. If volumes do remain the same or increase, like we're saying, it's the right time to be in it. But just to throw a spanner in the works here, if you look at the global markets, we've got to also remember that we are pegged to the dollar, and we need to see what's happening internationally. So with our global supply chain crisis that's happening now, that's going to affect everything going forward for the next year or so, even 2 years. And we've also got to look at how much the US Treasury has been printing in terms of bills and the debt that the world is in. So in South African terms, I think we are going to be growing, but we've just got to keep one eye out for what's happening internationally and how that affects us in our local space. I don't know if you share that sentiment.
Look, I think you always have to, look at first world countries and kind of compare yourself internationally on a global scale. But I think South Africa is very different to a lot of countries. I really do. I think there's huge opportunities. More so if we talk in terms of Africa, I think South Africa holds some of the greatest opportunities. I think it's hard to compare, although we need to be aware of, I think it's hard to compare ourselves to America and places like that. We're not there yet with infrastructure. We're not there yet with innovation. I think we need to kind of tunnel vision a bit now for the next 5 years, improve our country, our own economy, focus on ourselves in respect to globally, obviously. But I think the core focus should be on improving the economy within first. You can't get too overwhelmed by the international markets, because if you keep comparing yourself to international guys with huge GDP growth and huge economic drivers, I think you'll always see it as a pessimistic approach.
So what you're saying is that we should rather look at our own league and look at the emerging markets, or in Africa. And in that aspect, if you look at those indices, we're actually we're one of the most, with better performing or better recovering economies from post-COVID, from emerging markets.
Yeah, what I'm saying is it's all relative.
Okay.
So it's all relative to who you're comparing yourself with. You'll always be better than someone, and you'll always be worse than
Grass
someone.
is always greener on the other side.
Or maybe we won't get you too involved in this. I remember when you first came in here, you asked me, Keegan, what's a GLA?
I remember when you asked me the same thing as well.
Yeah, I think when you just say that, I another point which makes Bro Auction and Sales so much better is how young people are coming into this industry and they're being built. Like I didn't know what GLA and F was when I first got here, and getting to understand more about properties and getting to understand, not just about the digital side of things, but understanding the digital side of things in properties is just like, as a young person, it's building me into something in the future. And then, even like with Adil and everyone else, you can relate to it, like coming into the company and being able to grow and we have a better future. I feel like we really, really got a better
And I think the future sits in this room, It's up to the youngsters of the country to kind of stick out the hard times and reap the rewards hopefully in 10, 20 years' time,
And just to add on your point, the partnerships, just to go back to our point, what makes Brawl a bit different from other auction houses, it's the partnerships. We have exclusive partnerships with Business Day TV, we have exclusive partnerships with FNB, and we have exclusive partnerships now with Wits University. We're all alumni. We've all kind of gone through the rough times of
John
BSc in property studies and John Marvin, So I think the initiative behind the education as well, Brawl's very involved with rearing and teaching the younger generation. And I think that's, I 100% agree with you. It's taking guys who need that experience, modeling them, shaping them, and ultimately letting them make waves in the industry to become leaders.
Yeah, I fully agreed. I think we've covered, unless you guys have anything else, I think we've covered all bases today, kind of given the market a little bit of an insight into what the analyst and the marketers do on a day-to-day basis, and how we kind of, get that property out and give it the maximum exposure every single property deserves, Really looking forward to our next auction. I think it's going to be a head turner.
Definitely.
And November's looking even better, even bigger and better. So exciting times ahead of us. Let's just put our heads down, and when December comes, we'll be looking back and quite proud of what we've done. Thank you guys for joining us today, for sharing your insights on me. Appreciate it. Adil, as always.
Pleasure.
It's always great chatting to you guys, and hopefully we can have a few more chats like this. From us at Brawl Auctions and Sales, we want to thank you for kind of joining into the program today, and looking forward to next time. We've got our auction coming up on the 28th of October We've moved venues to the Wanderers Club in Ilovo. Better, bigger venue. So looking forward to seeing you there. Cheers for now.